Hello, everyone. I'm so honored and grateful to be speaking on Chef Age's show. You're with Saturdays with SHARAN. SHARAN stands for Sanctuary for Health and Reconnection to Animals and Nature. And we're an organization in India, but we work all over the world. And we have cooking classes online, as well as online consultations, and a whole bunch of other things. So do have a look at our website whenever you have a chance. Like our previous episodes, this episode is going to be in the same format. We will be speaking about a topic. Today's topic is hypertension and heart disease, after which and during which we'll have a few testimonials. And at the end, we'll have one cooking demo so that the demo is connected to our disease as well. Okay, so today's topic is hypertension and heart disease can be reversed. And I have with me a few people that I'll introduce to you as we go. I'm Dr. Nandita Shah, the founder of SHARAN. I'm a doctor, and I've been practicing this kind of whole plant-based nutrition since 2005, or actually even before, but we started SHARAN in 2005. And we've seen a lot of improvement in all these kind of cases. And that's why I'm so happy to share with you today. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll go straight into the presentation. So as I said, today's topic is hypertension and heart disease can be reversed. And before I start, I'd like to share with you a few facts. The majority of people with hypertension are not even aware that they have it, because most people don't go around checking their blood pressure every day. And the diagnosis of high blood pressure is when the blood pressure is more than 140/90 on 2 consecutive days. That means if your blood pressure is regularly normal and once in a while it's high, that's okay. But if on 2 consecutive days it's found to be high, considering that a normal blood pressure is around 120/80 or 130/85 or 90, if it's found to be higher than that for 2 consecutive days, it means that the person may be suffering from high blood pressure. And even young people can have high blood pressure. In fact, Dr. John McDougall, who many of you must be knowing, had a stroke at the age of 18 years because he was on a standard American diet. And he says that this was the reason why he became a doctor, and he has helped now so many people with that. Today, we have one of our nutritionists, Madhura, who I'll soon be introducing you to. And she too had a stroke at a young age. And the stroke is usually a consequence of high blood pressure. So, but it may not be, but the cause of both stroke and high blood pressure are similar, and we'll be talking about that. And she too had it at a young age, and she too may not have been a plant-based nutritionist had she not had this history. Me too, I had a disease, Guillain-Barré, several years ago, like 25 years ago. And this was one of the reasons why I shifted to whole food plant-based in my practice completely. High blood pressure can also lead to erectile dysfunction, or erectile dysfunction can be one of the first signs of high blood pressure. It can lead to coronary artery disease, stroke, chronic kidney disease, and even dementia. And about 1.5 billion adults will be on hypertensives by 2025. And how many will not be on antihypertensives at that time? We don't even know. So there should be antihypertensives. Sorry about that. So now I'm going to stop my screen share and introduce you to Madhura. Madhura Vayal is one of our nutritionists, and she's also a cooking instructor, and she also helps a lot of people shift their mindset, like become less stressful. So Madhura, please share your story and let everyone know everything about yourself.
Thank you so much, doctor. So, hello, everybody. And I would really like to share my story because I have learned so much from it that I would like you all also to take a step, which will help you to overcome your, all the lifestyle diseases that we are facing, especially hypertension. So I had suffered from a number of diseases since very early in life. I had early puberty, hormonal imbalance, and I also suffered from depression and anxiety. And I have always been overweight that time. But a really turn in my health took place when I was 25, when I suddenly suffered a stroke, and that too very unknowingly. I went to sleep healthy and I woke up with one side of my face completely paralyzed. I was rushed to the hospital where my blood pressure was 120 by 160. And the doctors really couldn't figure out what was wrong because nothing really happens at the age, when you're in your 20s. I was put on to medications like antihypertension, steroids. I was taking blood thinners. And, again, my doses of the antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication also went up. So by the time I reached my early 30s, I was not only obese, but I was very fatigued, very, very depressed and anxious till the time my husband really researched and he was like, this is not the way we can live our life. So he got the whole food plant-based lifestyle home. And that was truly a turning point because not only did I start feeling better, my blood pressure started coming down, medication started dropping, and mostly I also lost my weight. I was huge. I was 89 kgs. And from that, I lost about 27 kgs of weight. So, suddenly I started feeling myself. My depression and anxiety went away. My hormonal imbalance went away. So, all in all, one lifestyle change and a host of diseases went away. Not only did my health get better, but I also found the passion of my life. Now I'm a part of SHARAN. I'm a nutritionist with SHARAN for more than 8 years now. And along with Dr. Nandita, we are trying to help people to reverse all these lifestyle diseases and, become medicine free. So I'm hoping you can do the same, and all the best.
Thank you, Madhura. And just for those of you who don't know what 89 kgs is, it's around 196 pounds. So it's really a lot. And now Madhura is, within a normal weight frame. So that's really something amazing. And I know Madhura has done a lot of work and she's also helped so many other people. So now I'm going to go back to my screen share. Okay. And so we were just talking about this, and now we're going to talk about what is hypertension. What is high blood pressure? So the blood pressure is the amount of pressure that the heart has to use to pump the blood everywhere in the body. And the heart is working every single second of every single day of our lives. And just to get it into perspective, if we were to put all these little blood vessels, these very minute blood vessels back to back against each other and, take that whole string around the earth, it would go around the equator 2.5 times. So that's how many tiny blood vessels we have, so that both oxygen and nutrition can reach every single cell of our body. And our heart has to pump this fresh blood, oxygenated blood, into every part all the time. And the amount of pressure it needs is the blood pressure that we have. Now, you can imagine that if these tiny arteries are blocked, then the heart has to pump harder. And that's why we get high blood pressure. So over a period of time, there are changes in the arteries. the arteries become narrower and narrower. And that's just because the blood that's flowing through our arteries these days is filled with fat. This was never meant to happen. In nature, we are not meant to get sick, but we are getting sick today just because we are eating foods that were not designed for us by nature. So, for example, oil and fat are man-made substances. And the other place where we get a lot of fat is animal products, because all animal products, milk or meat or fish or chicken, are full of fat. If you boil them, you get fat on top. So when we consume these things, the fat goes straight into the bloodstream. And imagine if this was an artery, this is just a water bottle, but if this was an artery and the water inside was blood, and if we were to put 1 spoon of oil in it, the water will become viscid. And this viscid, this thickened blood is harder to pump through the arteries, and so the blood pressure goes up just because we're consuming fat. And when we consume that fat, this, if you can see the upper left artery shows a clear open artery. But over a period of time of this thickened blood flowing through our arteries, the artery wall, which is very fragile, gets injured and it's bandaged with cholesterol. And over a period of time, you can see in the bottom left-hand diagram that the fatty material is deposited, the artery is getting narrower, and in case some plaque breaks off from somewhere and flows through the artery, it can block it suddenly as well, as you can see in the 4th diagram, bottom right. Now, our body doesn't want us to ever get sick. And so, as our arteries are narrowing, as you can see in the middle diagram, a collateral circulation is already forming, so that in case the artery gets completely blocked, which happens sometimes, the collateral circulation has already formed. And so we don't feel anything. Our body is always working to heal. But in case some plaque breaks off and suddenly blocks the artery, as in the diagram 1, then a part of the artery is suddenly blocked. There's no way to form collateral circulation so quickly, and we suffer a heart attack. If an artery in the brain gets blocked, then it would be a stroke. So here you see that in diagram B, there was time for a collateral circulation to form. And so even though the artery is getting narrowed, there's no problem because the collateral circulation has already formed and all the parts of the heart are being looked after. Now, here in the above diagram, you see a normal artery, but you see a plaque being formed in the lower diagram. And if this is a larger artery and the plaque breaks off and flows with the bloodstream into a smaller artery, then that artery can be suddenly blocked, as in a heart attack. Now, the symptoms of high blood pressure are many. There can be chronic headaches that last for days, or dizziness or vertigo, or blurry and double vision, drowsiness and fatigue, impotency, which could be a precursor even of hypertension, and shortness of breath, heart palpitations, a flushing of the face, nose bleeds because of the pressure. You know, the fragile vessels in the nose break, or fragile vessels even in the throat can break if you have a cough and you can have sputum with blood in it, or a frequent urge to urinate, especially at night, or ringing in the ears, and even nausea. And as I said, blocked arteries anywhere result in disease. So if we have a blocked artery in the heart, it's angina or heart attack if it's fully blocked. If we have a blocked artery in the brain, it would be a stroke. But if we have lack of blood supply to any part of the body, say joints, then you will have joint pains because our body screams out in pain when we don't get a proper blood supply. Now, the current approaches to this problem, if you go to a doctor, the doctor will prescribe certain medications and ask you to limit red meat and fried foods, reduce your salt intake. So the doctor also knows that it's the fat that's causing the problem, and that salt, excess salt, can cause the problem. And then he would give you antihypertensives and blood thinners. Now imagine, instead of telling you that remove all the fat so that the blood naturally becomes thin, doctors usually feel that this is impossible in a regular lifestyle, and so they prescribe blood thinners. Now, this is great in a way, but it's not so great because if the blood thinners are too much, you can get internal bleedings as well. So the body always, creates a system where everything is in homeostasis and is normal. But a blood thinner from outside could cause too much blood thinning as well. And then doctors give cholesterol lowering drugs. Now, this is also great, but imagine cholesterol only comes to us through our body. Our body produces all the cholesterol we need, and we need cholesterol even for our brain to function. But the excess cholesterol is coming through animal products. Only animals produce cholesterol. There's no cholesterol in coconut or cashews. Plants never produce cholesterol. It's only animals that produce cholesterol. And so if we were to take all the animal products out of our diet and all the fat out of our diet, we could be preventing heart disease or hypertension our entire lives. And then doctors sometimes prescribe interventions like a bypass surgery or stents to be put in so that the blood flow remains normal despite the thickening of the arteries. Now, we are not really so interested in solving the problem temporarily. Remember that if you put a stent in, it can get blocked itself, but other arteries will not be far behind. If one artery got blocked and the same blood was flowing through all the other arteries, then there's always a possibility of future blocks. So we are interested in reversing heart disease. Now, how will you reverse any disease? Usually when we take medications, we are addressing the symptoms. But when we want to reverse a disease, we need to address the causes of the disease. So now we're going to look at what are the causes of hypertension and heart disease. And we saw already that the number one cause of hypertension and heart disease is fat. Fat that we consume that goes into our bloodstream and blocks the arteries. Now, it's very interesting that if there is fiber with the fiber holds on to the fat and doesn't let it go straight into the arteries. Let me give you an example. If you boil meat or chicken or fish or even milk, you'll get a layer of fat on top. But if you boil peanuts or sesame or even a piece of coconut or even sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds or any seed that we can make butter out of, you will not get fat on top. You can try this experiment. You can boil any of these things and you will see that there'll be no layer of fat on top. Why not? Because the fiber is holding on to the fat. And so if we were to consume all the food whole, That means if we were to consume coconut or peanuts or sesame, but not coconut oil or peanut oil or sesame oil, we could consume peanut butter if it has been made just by grinding down the peanuts into a butter, because the fiber is still there. So if we consume something with the fiber, the fat is unlikely to go into the bloodstream. And if we consume a lot of fiber, then we will be protecting ourselves long term. And only plants have fiber. So if we were to consume plant foods, and that to unrefined plant foods, like no peeling vegetables and fruits, no peeling as far, unless you can peel them with your hand, unless nature meant for you to peel them. That means peel your bananas or your oranges, but don't peel your apples or pears or plums. And as well, don't peel any vegetables. Don't peel cucumbers or carrots or zucchini or even pumpkin. And you'd be surprised when I say pumpkin, because, we think that the skin of pumpkin is so hard that it's inedible. But if you steam pumpkin with the skin on, the skin becomes really soft and totally edible. So we should only peel the vegetables that we can peel with our hands. For example, garlic or onions or even peas, right? But don't peel anything else. And then meat. Meat contains free radicals. Free radicals cause oxidative stress in the arteries. And we can counter that with antioxidants. And antioxidants are found in all fruits and vegetables. So you can see clearly here that basically what we have to do is avoid animal products, increase our plant foods, make sure that it's completely whole, and we can actually remove the causes of heart disease and hypertension. Another cause is stress. And this is why Madhura does plenty of programs on affirmations and gratitude and ways of reducing our stress levels, because stress is such a major cause of heart disease and hypertension. When we're stressed, we produce hormones, stress hormones. And when animals are stressed, they produce stress hormones. When we take the milk of cows or eggs from chickens, or when we send animals to slaughterhouses, they are always stressed. And so animal products always contain a fair share of stress hormones, which increase our stress. So we should cut out animal products, of course, but we should also look at our conditionings in our life and see how we can minimize stress in order to keep hypertension and heart disease at bay. And then lack of exercise. Of course, we should all do exercise every single day. And to prevent heart disease and hypertension, we don't need to do that much exercise. Even if you were to walk for half an hour every day, or walk for an hour 3 times a week, that's enough exercise to prevent heart disease and hypertension. And then lack of rest. Like nowadays, we're so busy on social media and at work that sometimes we sleep really late, thanks to the TV as well, or movies. And then we have to get up with an alarm, and alarm is stress as well. So I always recommend to go to bed before 10. And there's a reason for this. The body heals best between 10 and 4, but you have to be asleep. So go to bed at 10, avoid waking up with an alarm, and your stress levels will come down. And so will your hypertension. Lack of vitamin B12 also causes the homocysteine to rise in the blood and can cause heart disease and hypertension. And so it's very important, not just for people who are plant-based, but for everybody, to check their vitamin B12 levels and to supplement if necessary. Tea, coffee, colas, alcohol, and smoking all raise blood pressure And therefore, and I know that these are very difficult to give up, but we recommend green smoothies and alkaline foods. And when you're on this kind of diet, it's much easier to give up these addictive substances. And of course, excess salt. And where is excess salt most found? In all those packaged foods which add more salt, and usually they're fried because salt is addictive. So minimize the salt in your food and minimize the fat and increase the fiber, and we'll be good to go. Foods rich in fats are all animal products and all refined plant fats. That means oil, margarine, butter, it also, and even ghee, and it also means olive oil or coconut oil. Some people think that olive oil is fine, and that's just because it's been advertised, but every single oil is just pure fat without fiber. And if you consume any kind of oil, it goes straight into the bloodstream. And that's why there are so many recipes of fabulous food made without any oil. We have 600 of them on our website. You can see our website address on every single slide. But you can even buy recipe books. There's so many people who are teaching whole food, plant-based recipes. We also have cooking classes so that everyone can be heart disease free. Now, here's a chart where you can see on the on the left-hand side, animal foods, and you can see that all of them have a fair amount of fat, with certain things having much more fat, certain fish have more fat, or lamb or goat meat has a lot more fat than, say, lean beef or even chicken. And eggs have a lot more cholesterol than many other things. But plant foods also have some fat. We need some fat. Broccoli even has fat, but that's good fat because broccoli has so much fiber. The important thing is that plants never contain cholesterol. And milk, 49% of the calories from whole milk come from fat. And if you have 2% milk, then still 35% of its calories come from fat. So fat is found freely in all animal products, and most of this fat is saturated fat. And that's why we really want to avoid animal products. When I say milk, I also mean all dairy, milk, cheese, butter, cream, ice cream, or anything that's made from dairy, yogurt. Nowadays it's so easy to replace all these things because there's plant-based milk available. But do look on your package of plant-based milk or yogurt, because sometimes they also contain oil. Always buy the ones without any oil. Now, there are some medicines that are commonly taken that can also raise the blood pressure. And here's a list of them. And I'm not going to read all these out, but I have made some of them in bold because these are commonly used: alcohol and antidepressants and caffeine-containing medicines, as well as caffeine-containing foods and drinks. And then steroids and erythropoietin, which is mainly used in chronic kidney disease, and estrogens, and that's commonly used in hormone replacement therapy, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs as well. And those are very commonly used these days. So we need to see if we're taking medicines that are raising our blood pressure, and if we are, can we reduce them as well slowly? And the good news is that a whole food plant-based diet can help reduce many illnesses. And then we should supplement with vitamin B12 And this should be methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. And it should not be large doses of vitamin B12 because our body can only process a little bit at a time. In fact, the recommended daily allowance of vitamin B12 is 5 micrograms. But many people take supplements of 1,500 or 2,000 micrograms. Then all your body has to do is the liver has to handle it and the kidneys have to throw it out. And so it's a load on the liver and kidneys. So if you can get doses less than 500 micrograms, that's even better. But otherwise, definitely not more than 500 micrograms. And the level should be around 400 pg per ml. That means normal vitamin B levels are, say, around 200 to 900 pg per ml. And we want something in between so that we never go too low. So if we can keep our levels around 400 pg per ml, that would be really good. So it's good to test vitamin B12 levels every now and then. And one word of caution, if you're taking cyanocobalamin in the form of spirulina or chlorella as supplements, then please note that your vitamin B12 levels can be high, but it's not used. So then homocysteine levels should also be checked. So a summary of what we should do: change our diet to a whole food, plant-based diet. And if you see some of our other programs on Saturdays with Sharan, you'll know more about that. Avoid tea, coffee, cola, smoking, and alcohol as well. Make sure that you get a fair amount of exercise every day. It doesn't have to be too much. Rest at the right time and supplement with vitamin B12 if necessary. Check and supplement, and minimize stress. And finally, as we get better, the medicine should be reduced. So if you're on medicines for high blood pressure, keep checking your blood pressure. Whenever the blood pressure is consistently under 130/80, then medicine should be reduced. And these should be reduced with the help of your doctor, because medicines can be, you shouldn't just stop all the medicines suddenly, but reduce them in a gradual manner so that the blood pressure, though it will go up when you reduce the medicine, will not go up too much. And one of the ways that we know that our blood pressure is too low is we begin feeling weak and less energetic. For example, yesterday I was seeing a patient who was on many blood pressure medicines, and I've been reducing the medicines. And despite my reducing the medicines, her blood pressure was 120/67, which is too low on medication. And she told me that her energy levels aren't good enough. Actually, if you're on a whole food plant-based diet, you should be bursting with energy. So I knew immediately that I've got to reduce her blood pressure medicines even more, because the blood pressure is too low for her. 120/67 was too low. Now I'm going to share a meal plan with you. Usually, when we normally, a normal standard diet is wake up and have some tea and coffee. And then if you have time for breakfast, it would be cereal or porridge or eggs and toast or a sandwich. And then you might have a tea or coffee with some cookies in between. And then lunch could be a soup and salad or a sandwich or pasta, a wrap, a pizza, or some main course. And then there might be a snack in the evening, which could be fried snacks or cookies or chips. And then dinner would be some main course and maybe a dessert. Now we have to convert this into a healthy diet. And that would be, you could wake up and start the day with a herbal tea. or maybe a barley coffee, or um, a totally caffeine-free coffee-like substance like chicory, or just water with lime juice or lemon juice, freshly squeezed would be best. And that too, not hot water, room temperature water with lemon juice. And then breakfast could be a green smoothie and fruit. Now, green smoothie really is a miracle substance, and it's very simple to make, simpler than any other breakfast. And it's the best thing to start your day with, because if we were living in nature and we were on a farm, the very first thing we would pick is fruit. And greens add to the nutrients of fruits, and they have so many nutrients that they keep us full for a long time. So the very best breakfast you could have is a green smoothie and fruit, and do look for the recipe on our website. And then a snack could be any of the things that you would have normally had for breakfast, but a whole food plant-based version of it. So it could be a muesli instead of a cereal, or a whole grain porridge like rolled oats, or steel cut oat porridge, or a tofu scramble instead of eggs, with whole grain breads, maybe with a nut butter or hummus, or a wrap. Or if you're not that hungry, I'm not, I usually just have a green smoothie for breakfast. Then you could have just a herbal tea, or fruit, or a muesli bar. I never have any of these, because a green smoothie and fruit really fill me up. Then lunch could be a salad and soup, or a whole grain sandwich with lots of veggies. Do look for recipes on our website for all these things, or a whole grain pasta, or a wrap, or leftovers from your whole food plant-based dinner that you've cooked by yourself. And then if you're hungry in the evening, a fruit or a muesli bar, or if you're lucky enough to be working from home, a green smoothie again would be wonderful. And then dinner could be any main course along with a salad. The salads are for lots of raw, fresh vegetables all the time, and then a healthy dessert. So this would be an ideal meal plan that anyone can easily do, and you can get well just by doing this. I'm going to stop my share and see if I have Chanchal there. And Chanchal is one of our facilitators, and Chanchal joined our 21-day health retreat. We have a 21-day health retreat where we do all the lab reports at the beginning and all the lab reports at the end. And during the retreat, with lots of whole food, plant-based foods, Madhura has, for example, come to do the cooking classes in our 21-day retreat. And so Chanchal attended this, and she had high blood pressure, and now she's free of high blood pressure. So Chanchal, would you like to share your story?
Hi, Doctor. Good evening. Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to share my gifts, which is given by Dr. Nandita Shah and the SHARAN team. I'm highly obliged to be here today. Let me start with my story that, I lost my father and my sister in their early 50s. And I was very young at that time. It was all because of hypertension. And because of this, I was always having this fear, even I will end up, with certain cardiac issue problems or health related issues. And I used to have repeated migraines and headaches, and I used to face a lot of palpitation, high palpitation, ringing at my ears, and fatigue, and all sorts of things. And I was increasing, I was putting on weight, and I was overweight. So being in a hardcore non-vegetarian family, our food used to be very heavy. And because of junk food, sometimes when we have outside food, I used to end up vomiting and strong migraine attacks. So I decided to start with yoga, but it helped me a lot. And I was, slowly, I reduced my sugar intake and my salt intake. And I was thinking that I'm leading a very healthy lifestyle. And I was, little bit on that pace. But one fine day, I was like, to my surprise, I got a very strong attack of migraine. And my BP shot up to 175 by 120. And then I was forced to do all my blood checkups. And it was like, my this thing, sugar levels were so high that my HbA1c was around 11.9. And then it was like, a big nightmare kind of thing. Like my doctor said, Mrs. Shetty, you need to be on medicines lifelong, and you have to be, there is no way out, and you little bit you have to change your lifestyle, and medicines is a must. And then I was put on for the BP medicines, I had some two medicines, and then for diabetes I had 5 medicines, and cholesterol medicines, and number of health supplements, which also included some Ayurvedic stuff. And then I started having that, but it was not helping me, and my conditions were becoming so worse that I had so low energy, and finally I ended up with depression and anxiety. And then it was like, what to do next? And one fine day I was just surfing a net, and I came across Dr. Nandita Shah's video, which said that, how food can heal. And I was so impressed and intrigued that I decided to join their 21 days residential retreat. And believe me or not, there in that retreat, I was amazed, and I was like, under the expert guidance of Dr. Shah, I was improving, each and every day. My with daily monitoring, my blood pressure was normalized, and my sugar medicines were, all removed. I was free from all the medications, thanks to their green smoothies, variety of green smoothies, and the whole plant-based food spread. And I was like, completely transformed, and I was feeling so energetic. And it was a lesson that, how food can, heal, and food is the best medicine for you. And then I, in a year's time, it is like more than 1.5 years now, I am like at HbA1c 6. I want to check it again. It will be more low now. And in the initial 3 months only, I lost around 13 kgs. And with this, I decided to, I was like, I was meant to do this work, and I decided to join SHARAN as a facilitator. And it's all, thanks to Dr. Shah and her team. Thank you so much. And my life is completely transformed now.
Thank you, Chanchal, for that. And just for those who don't know about 13 kilos, 13 kilos is around 28.5 pounds. So Chanchal lost 28.5 pounds. So Chanchal, thank you for sharing that story. I know it's really inspiring everyone. And I know that you're free of high blood pressure and free of diabetes, and that you've lost so much weight and you're doing so well, and you're so passionate about spreading this lifestyle to so many people. So thank you very much, Chanchal, for that.
Thank you so much. And actually it has transformed full, I'm now like a healthy being. My migraine, my acidity, everything is taken care of. And I'm like, complete a package.
Yes, and I can vouch for that because I know you. So congratulations, Chanchal, for all that you've done. So I'm going to go back to my screen share for a moment. And I just want to tell you where you can learn a bit more. So pioneers in this field were Dean Ornish and Caldwell Assistant, and they both started their research in this subject in 1990. Now it's 2023. So it's like 33 years ago, they started the research. And Dean Ornish, did a study which lasted a year. He took a whole lot of people and put them on, divided them into two groups. One group was on standard diet, and the other group was on a whole food plant-based diet with yoga and stress relieving exercises. And he found that each and every one of them improved within a period of a year. So 1 year is a long time to conduct this experiment. And in 1995, 5 years later, he published this book, Dr. Dean Ornish's program for reversing heart disease. And, I was touched by this book. This was one of my first books. And he starts with, this is about healing mind, body, and spirit. And I feel that's so important, because sometimes when we have high blood pressure, we only treat high blood pressure, we are only treating physical. But we really need to treat mind, body, and spirit in order to heal long term. So this is why I loved his book. And I loved Caldwell Esselstyn's book, which was published in 2007. Caldwell Esselstyn followed up his patients for 12 years. And he had patients who had very severe heart disease and had had a number of episodes of diseases. And all through those 12 years on a whole food plant-based diet, none of them suffered from another episode. So he had a long-term follow-up of all these patients when he published this book. And the reason I love this book is because it's so simple to read. Someone can read it in just a couple of days and understand how to do things. And of course, both these books contain recipes as well. Now, how can we at SHARAN help you? We have a lot of free talks like this also on our YouTube channel. We have a lot of information on our website, and you can subscribe to our newsletters from our website. We have a lot of cooking classes which are on Zoom. And even if you're in the US, you can get the recordings of these cooking classes. So if you want to learn lots of different kinds of foods, and even Indian foods, which are whole food plant-based, do look at our website. And then we have consultations which can be done online on Zoom. We do require tests. We do require a form to be filled. Our consultations are very thorough, but we can help you with that as well. And then we have the 21-day retreats, the one that Chanchal spoke to you about and that I also spoke to you about. And you can look up these on our website. And since the last many years, we've been having people from the US on our retreats every time. I'm going to stop my share now. And I want to invite Dr. Aarti. Dr. Aarti is one of our cardiologists, one of our consultants, and she's a clinical cardiologist. And she has been treating our patients who have heart disease and hypertension. And Dr. Aarti, would you like to tell them about the results that you've seen?
Thank you, ma'am. It's my pleasure to be with you. Hypertension or high blood pressure is one of the most common lifestyle disorder I see routinely in my practice. Day by day, we see younger and younger patients suffering from high blood pressure. What is alarming is that even after taking medicines regularly, there is a need for upgradation of medicines year after year for optimal control of blood pressure. Some of these patients also end up in the emergency with a heart attack or a stroke or kidney failure or heart failure. So we know that medicines do not treat the cause of high blood pressure. More often than not, we see that faulty lifestyle is the cause of high blood pressure. In my practice, when I put my patients on a whole food plant-based nutrition, along with lifestyle changes like optimal sleep, graded exercise, and stress management, I am able to taper down the BP medications gradually. There was one of my patients who was a young male, morbidly obese, on 8 antihypertensive medications. Over a period of 6 months with whole food plant-based nutrition and other lifestyle changes, we could bring down his BP medication from 8 tablets a day to 3 tablets a day. Not only did the blood pressure get controlled, we could also see a reduction in his weight. We could see the improvement in his blood sugars, in his blood cholesterol, in his liver profile, and general health. Most of my patients come back to me and tell me that on a whole food plant-based nutrition, they feel more energetic, they feel more lively, and overall there is a lot of positivity in their approach with this kind of nutrition. So I recommend a whole food plant-based nutrition according to SHARAN.
Thank you, Dr. Aarti. And you have really been inspiration to all of us because, from a hospital practice and seeing so many patients, you have taken the trouble to spend the whole 1 hour with the patient, study the case. The whole process is 2 hours. To study the case, to give them feedback and get the results. And it's really inspiring to have all that. And now I'm going to call Madhura Vayal. Madhura, you have already seen her before, and she, as I told you, also does our cooking demos and is a cooking instructor, a nutritionist, and does consultations. And so Madhura is going to show us a Dal Makhani. So this is an Indian recipe, a dal, which usually is made with ghee and cream and butter. So Madhura, would you like to tell them about it and also show them the recipe?
Sure, doctor. So welcome back, everybody. So today I'm going to show you, doctor, can you spotlight the front?
Yes, I'm doing that. Yes, yeah.
Welcome back, guys. And today I'm going to show you an amazing recipe, which is called Dal Makhani. And I have spent about 10 years in the US. And whenever we used to go to an Indian restaurant, we used to always look for this meal, the Dal Makhani and Jeera rice meal. So I'm going to quickly show you how Dal Makhani can be made and also a few variations so that you know how to really replicate this recipe into different others as well. So for this recipe, I'm going to use the red kidney beans. So these are just washed and kept. I'm also going to use the black gram dal. So if this is not readily available to you, then you can also use the black lentils instead. And as Dr. Nandita said in her talk, we are not peeling this, we are using the whole dal. And because of that, you're getting the fiber intact. So both these dals, one is a bean and the dal, we need to soak them because they're very tough to cook like this. So what we are going to do is we are going to soak it in water. So here I've taken water, and what I'm going to do is I've already washed the kidney beans. I'm just going to add it to the water and the black gram as well. And we are going to soak this together for about 6 to 8 hours, preferably overnight. And after soaking, we are going to drain the water and we are going to rinse it with fresh water. And then we are going to pressure cook this with about 2 cups of water and about half teaspoon of salt. So let me repeat, I have soaked it in about 2 cups of water, preferably overnight. Then I'm going to drain the water. I'm going to rinse it with fresh water. And then I'm going to put it in a pressure cooker with, again, 2 cups of water, about half teaspoon of salt, and pressure cook for 1 whistle. That's it. 1 whistle, and then turn the heat off and allow the pressure to release by itself. Once that happens, you will see the dal cooks like this, right? The kidney beans also almost double in size, and the black gram has kind of opened up and it's cooked really well. Okay, so this is what we are looking at. So after this, the next step is to prep up our next ingredients. I'm going to require, so I'm making this dal makhani for 2 people. So I'm going to take about 4 small sized tomatoes, which are like coarsely chopped. Okay, I have not blanched them. I have not removed the skin because all of this removes the nutrition from the tomatoes, right? We are going to use the peel of the tomato as well. For about 4 small tomatoes, I am using 1 medium-sized onion, which is coarsely chopped. Now, some of the spices that we are going to need are as follows. Okay, I'm going to use some coriander powder, which is ground, a little bit of kasuri methi. Kasuri methi is like dried fenugreek leaves, which are just powdered and kept. If you want some additional flavor, you can even roast these, but this is optional. But I would say if you're getting this, please use it. This gives a very nice, intense flavor to your dal makhani. I'm using red chili powder. So my red chili powder is not that hot. It's going to be, just for like color purposes. Then I'm using a little bit of a jeera powder. Then jeera powder, some garam masala, and some turmeric powder. I'm also using some finely chopped cashews. So this is going to be the makhni substitute. So the conventional recipe uses tons of ghee and butter to give the flavor. So the cashews are what will give you the makhni flavor as well as the texture, the creamy, smooth texture. Okay. And I'm also going to use some garlic and ginger. If you can see, the ginger is with the peel. Is it noticeable?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to use it with the peel. So we are not peeling even the smallest of ingredients because we want all the fiber intact. Okay. I'm also going to use some whole garam masala spices. So I'm so sorry for the disturbance. So I'm going to use some bay leaves. I'm going to use some cinnamon sticks. I'm going to use a garam masala called the star anise. It's like a flower. Okay. And I'm going to use the big or the black cardamom or elaichi. So let's begin by sauteing the onions and the tomatoes. Okay. So I'm taking stainless steel pan. You can see basically I'm not using any oil. So if you can see, there's no oil in the pan, absolutely oil free. I'm just going to wait for the pan to heat up a little bit. Okay. And once the pan heats up, I'm going to add the onions. And I'm just going to saute the onions without the oil. Now, to hasten this process, just so that you can quickly saute your onions, I'm going to add some unrefined salt. Okay. So we are not using any refined products. I'm going to add a little salt to this so that the salt releases the natural water from the onion. And I'm going to just roast the onions a bit. Pan is taking a little while to heat. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. Doctor, the pan is taking a little while to heat.
No problem. And if you like, you can tell them something more about the dish while you're doing it. Or if you like, you can just, they'll understand that this is not completely done, but you can do the next steps if you prefer.
Okay. So basically, in all the North Indian dishes, there's a lot of use of oil and butter that is, and cream as well. So to get the same smooth consistency, we can use nuts. But if you're not in the favor of nuts, then you can also replace it with seeds. Like you can use some sunflower seeds, or you can use some watermelon seeds instead of cashews, and then you can make the same dish. The onions are getting slightly translucent, so I'm going to add the tomatoes to it. I would have preferred them to be a little light brown in color, but I'm using an induction pan and it's not as same as a gas stove. So when you're making this at home, this is going to come together very quickly. I'm going to add the ginger and the garlic. Okay, and I'm also going to add the spices a little at a time. So the spices can be added as per your flavor. I'm going to add a little bit of red chili powder. My family likes it slightly spicier, so I'm going to add a little more. A little bit of turmeric. We don't want this to be really yellow. I'm going to add the coriander seed powder.
And
And the
Madhura,
garam.
just to let them know, you're going to give the proportions. I mean, the proportions in the description. So
Yes.
they'll have the whole recipe that they'll be able to do themselves as well.
Absolutely, doctor. So the entire recipe, which is exactly what I have used, is going to be provided to you. And you can follow it, and it's nothing can go wrong. It's such a foolproof recipe that everything is going to come out really well, you know. Also, you can always taste and you can adjust the seasoning as per, you know, how you like the flavors. I'm going to add a little water to this. And then I'm going to cover and keep it for some time so that the tomatoes really mush up, you know, they become really soft. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cover and keep it. So the fabulous thing about this gravy is you can actually use this same gravy to even make tofu makhani. You can make vegetable makhanwala. You can make the dal makhani, of course. And you can also store this curry paste that we make in the refrigerator, and it stays for a long period of time. If you're working professionals, you can actually freeze them in ice cubes, then demold it and keep it in freezer safe boxes, and it stays for a very long time. So whenever you have to make this recipe, all you need to do is just boil your dal, get the curry paste out of the freezer, and just bring them to a boil, and you will see your curry comes together really, really well. So if you're making vegetable makhanwala, just chop up your favorite vegetables, steam them, as Dr. Nandita said. Do not boil or overcook your vegetables or pressure cook them. Just steam them up, and then you add this to the same curry base that we have made here, and you'll have your vegetable makhanwala. If you're doing your tofu makhani, you can actually just chop bigger pieces of tofu, because paneer is definitely not good for us. So get tofu and get the extra firm tofu. You can just sprinkle some salt and pepper to it and grill it or air fry it or roast it on a iron tawa, and you can just, or an iron pan, and you can just add it to this gravy as well, and an awesome tofu makhani will be ready for you. Okay, so let's
that
just
means this gravy is very versatile, right, Madhura?
Versatile, very versatile. And because you can freeze it and keep it, you can make it anytime. It really doesn't take time to make. And because we are really busy nowadays, you can make batches and keep. So you can freeze some, you can keep some in the refrigerator, and it comes together very quickly.
And you can have the rice cooking in the rice cooker and all ready when you come home with,
yes,
with
absolutely.
this, right?
All you need to do is come home, put the rice in the cooker, just get the curry out, and keep it for boiling. And you can just chop up some vegetables and put it, go freshen up, come, and your meal is ready. It's as simple as that. So if you can see, the boil has started coming and the tomatoes will mush up. So once this cooking, this will take about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, don't move away. Be there. Don't be on mobiles or WhatsApp. Stay with your curry. just kind of keep on stirring. Once the tomatoes mash up, we are just going to grind it. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly put it in the grinder. So just take a blender and you can add it to this. It's very hot, guys. So what I have done is I have already ground a paste and kept it ready for you. So I'll just show you how it works. So can you see?
Wait, I'm just going to spotlight this again. Huh? Okay. Yeah.
So it's very simple, very, I'll just show you the texture as well. Is it visible, doctor?
Yes, very visible. It's beautiful.
Right? So you'll have this awesome curry, which you can actually store. So now let me show you how quickly the recipe will come. Okay. Again, I'm heating, and if you can see, I'm using the stainless steel utensils. I'm not using any non-stick or copper or aluminium, because those are also not very good for us. So this is stainless steel that I'm using. Now I'm just going to add, if you remember, our entire whole garam masala to this. And because we are not, again, guys, if you can notice, I'm not using any oil. And these masalas will take some time to really roast. So I'm going to add little water so that the flavor comes into the water. Okay. So very little. So just quickly give it a good stir. Okay. Again, to this water, I'm going to add a little salt. Okay, now remember, your curry also has the salt in it, so don't do too much, just a little. Okay, and then to this, yeah, the water is warming up. So then to this, I'm going to add the paste that we have made. Now remember, I have added everything, all the spices, everything was added to this, okay? Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, guys, is when you grind it, add your cashews. I'm so sorry about that. So when you're grinding the onion, tomato, ginger, garlic, and all the spices together, just add your cashews to the mixture. And we'll just it smells so awesome. And this is one of our family favorites. So my husband has grown up in, hostels. Like he used to live in dorms and stuff. So they used to make this, and with the brown rice, it used to be one of their staples. So he's very fond of this, and so is my son. So we always make this. Okay, once you have mixed this up, just add the rajma and the black gram, just add it to that. And give it a good stir. So now if you're having it with rice, then you can thin this out a little bit. You can add a little water to this if you like. But if you're having it with your rotis or with your millet rotis or with some gluten-free bread or whole wheat bread, you can always keep it a little thicker. Okay. Then I'm just going to cover it and bring it to a quick boil. And that's it, guys. The curry is ready. Wasn't that quick? You don't really need, too much time once your curry base is ready. Okay. And if you don't like too many spices in it, just leave the spices out of it, and you can have a little lightish curry as well, which will be like a shahi curry. and that tastes awesome as well. So once this comes to a boil, there are two things that were left to add. The kasuri methi, which comes last, because you don't want to boil it after you add the kasuri methi. And then, just for the aroma of the makhni, you can even add 1 pinch of cardamom powder, which really, really gives that. But that is completely optional and that is up to you. Okay. I have really enjoyed making this over the years, and Punjabi food is one of our favorites all time, right? So always remember, instead of oil, cream, you can always use the nuts. And if you want to keep the nuts a little lower in the diet, you can always use seeds like watermelon seeds and sunflower seeds. Okay. If you want to give this a slightly sweetish taste, you can even add about half a teaspoon of date paste to this, but this is completely optional and up to your, if you like the flavor. I add a little bit of the coconut cream, which is the first extract of the fresh coconut milk. So when you extract milk from the coconut, the first extract is really thick with a lot of fat in it. So you can use about 1 teaspoon of it for garnish on top so that you have that typical makhni effect. So let's see. So this makhni is almost ready. I'm just going to sprinkle the kasuri methi on this. Okay, and just stir it. And I'm going to serve it with some rice. So let me just quickly plate it. I have some brown rice ready here. So let me just show that to you. And I'm going to pour a little bit the cream that I mentioned, the coconut cream. Just going to pour a little bit of that.
Wow, Madhura, it really looks amazing.
Thank you, doctor. That's it. Your dal makhani with brown rice is ready to serve.
Wonderful. And I'm sure your family will have a lovely dinner tonight.
Absolutely. They're just hovering by.
Okay. Thank you, Madhura, for that. I'm sure that our participants will try this recipe out and even make the gravy so that they can use it for other dishes as well. And don't forget, everyone, to look at the recipe in the description for all the details of it. I'm going to go back to my screen share now. And I just want to say that SHARAN is committed to building a culture of health. And sometimes we say we don't have time for health. And so this is just a cartoon where the doctor says, what fits your busy schedule better? Exercising 1 hour a day or being dead 24 hours a day. And truly, heart disease can lead to serious complications, including death. So why not look after ourselves right now? So I want to end with wishing all of you a perfect health. And if you want to get in touch with us at any time, you can write an email to info@sharan-india.org. And don't forget to look at our website, sharan-india.org, to see our events, You can look at our 21-day retreat or even register for a consultation. But don't forget that there are 600 recipes out there that you can view and enjoy. And we also have another Dal Makhani recipe, which is also delicious. Two, in fact, two more Dal Makhani recipes on our website. So you have different variations of the same incredible dish, and you can always enjoy it. So I say goodbye to all of you now. I hope that this has helped you and your family to have some delicious meals as well as get healthy and stay healthy lifelong. Bye for now.